This conference will now be recorded.
या मौलाए मेहरबान मदद फरमा, या मौलाए मेहरबान मदद फरमा, या मौलाए मेहरबान मदद फरमा, मदद फरमा। अलैयुल कय्यूम अली अल्लाह, अलैयुल कय्यूम अली अल्लाह मदद फरमा। नूर मौलाना शाह करीम हुसैनी हाजिर इमाम, तौफीक ताईद हिम्मत व यारी मौला, तौफीक ताईद हिम्मत व यारी मौला। या मौला मेहरबान, हम गरीबों की मदद फरमा मौला। या मौला अपने नूर से हमारी दुर्बानी फरमा मौला। या मौला अपने नूर की रोशनी हम पर डाल मौला, ताकि हम कोई खातिर खा इल्मी काम कर सके मौला। या मौला मेहरबान, तेरी मदद के बगैर हम कुछ भी नहीं है मौला, कुछ भी नहीं है मौला। या मौला मेहरबान, मदद फरमा, मदद फरमा मौला। या मौला करीब आते हुए अपना हाथ हम गरीबों के कंधों पर रख मौला, कि तेरे साये में मौला, तेरी रहमत, तेरे नूर के साये में मौला हम बैठकर कोई इल्म का काम कर सके मौला। या मौला मेहरबान, मदद मौला, मदद। तमाम साथियों को या अली मदद, and thank you again for joining us this morning. We are on part 2 of Ilm wa Amal, knowledge and practice. आज हम हिस्सा दोम इल्म व अमल का करने जा रहे हैं। Before we start, on the screen in front of you, Amal, the practice. If we look at our worldly practices, may it be as small as grocery shopping or shopping for something we need around the house, clothing, housing, even sometime in the Western country, you can shop for the phone and electric and the gas, etc. How much time do we give to research? We find the best thing for the best price. We do not send our children to schools without checking what kind of rating the school have in our neighborhood. If those ratings are not good enough for you and your children, sometimes you will pay extra money and send them to faraway school, even pay for the busing to ensure that they are receiving the best education, and the time they are giving for the education is worthwhile. Anything that we do a lot of personal search before we do it. For what? For the worldly matters, which are temporary, and at the end we will leave all of that behind, regardless of how best they were and what the price that you paid for it. At the same time, when Imam has been giving us Faramin to follow our tariqah with the best practice, research, personal search, meritocracy, find the ilm, the best ilm, find those classes where religion education has been given, read and learn from the history, Faramin after Faramin after Faramin. In last 65 years, Imam has repeatedly have talked about personal search, education, ilm, that knowledge is not for the reason of the worldly matter, but through this knowledge, it will help you understand the God's creation. But then we see ourselves that we hardly pay any attention to those Farameens. I ran into some of our friends in this very classes when they ask, how do we move forward in the understanding of the Imam or the Tariqah or the Ilm?
पापा, are you guys okay? झगड़ा हुआ है क्या?
And the amazing part is, the reply was, I don't have time. I'm busy with my worldly matters. I have too much going on in my lifetime, or with my family, or with my children, with my grandchildren, and even at my job, or in my neighborhood, or in my country. And I was thinking, if I could write down a book of excuse, how not to follow Imam's Farman, then we would have a great, thick volume book with all of the excuses. Some of the excuses I really had to give them bravo command, that what excuses they can come up with, that one we can never even think about. For example, there's too much going on in my country, in my city. In other words, even after we learn and even after we ask, that we do want to learn about our tariqah, about the Imam, and about the ilm and our practices. But then we do not want to give a minute, a time to personal search. And it is not because this Garib and Nashis is requesting or asking. It is the Imam's Farman. And when they would ask, how do I get there? And when the path is shown, they will come with the excuses. ilm and amal. If you look at the dua book, the very first page in our dua book, there is a farman of Mola Bapa, where Mola Bapa says, I do not want you to recite dua without understanding its meaning. Very simple, direct farman. Meaning, if you do not have time or want to understand the dua meaning, then Mola Bapa's farman is very clear. Do not recite the dua without knowing the meaning of it. Very clear farman. It does not even require translation, does not require any interpretation. The words are very, very clear. Not only that, Imam also in the same farman is commanding the parents that we must teach our young one the meaning of the dua. How will we teach our young one the meaning of the dua when we ourselves has decided not to learn the meaning of the dua because we are busy with the children? We are busy with the children, so we are not learning the meaning of the dua. In other words, we are not learning and we are not teaching clear farman, and we are going against this farman intentionally not following this farman. How amazing is that? My brother and sister, I do get amazed sometimes because I see each one of you as intellectual. Why do I see all of you as intellectual? Because you have decided every week after week after week, month and year after year, that you will want to give this 1 hour to learn about our tariqah, about the ilm in our tariqah, about the Imam Zaman, and I see you truly wants to follow the Imam's farman. We are not talking about anyone else. We are only talking about this small group of the friends and the family right here on this line, and those who will listen to this recording in the future. I see you all as intellectual. Hope that you have understood that our tariqah is a tariqah of logic and intellect, and person of logic, a rational person, does not do anything without understanding it first. Would you agree with me on that part? That person of rational logic, intellect, does not do anything without understanding it first. So here, let's come to this chapter for the day. Is part 2 of knowledge and practice. Amal with ilm. When we do practice, when we do amal, then we should do it with the ilm. Those amal which are done with the ilm, complete understanding, will benefit more. Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, Salawatullah alayhi, I'm sorry, Imam Hazir Imam in his current Jama, Salawatullah alayhi, Farman made in Pune in February 22nd, 1969, talks about the Farman about the dua, the one we just spoke about. I would like each and every spiritual child not only to know the dua by heart, but to understand the meaning of the dua. See, very clear Farman. Each and every spiritual child not only know the dua by heart, but also understand the meaning of the dua. Meaning, not translation. Not translation, meaning. It is fundamental for you and for your children and for the future of our Jamaat that each and every one of you, particularly the young member of the Jamaat, should understand the meaning of the dua. Here in this line where Imam says, it is fundamental for the future of our Jamaat. In other words, if we do not do this, what will happen that our future Jamaat, our children will not understand our tariqah, nor they will understand our dua. And then what will happen if they don't understand our dua? They will no longer be interested in reciting the dua, performing the dua, coming to Jamaat Khana. And who will be responsible for that? Would it be Mola Bapa responsible for that? Or would it be Mukhi Kamadiya? Or would it be you and I? Because we were too busy and we did not learn, and neither we taught our children the meaning of the dua. Who would be responsible? And I'm still having this kind of laugh on my face when I was speaking to one of the couple, young couple, and when we were talking about this Farman and learning the dua meaning first, they said, no, we are too busy with our children. And when I said, but learning the dua meaning is for your children, they said, no, we don't need to learn. When they will grow up, they will learn for themselves. They will learn for themselves. I thought you are the parents and you are supposed to look after the benefits and care for your children. How can you say that I don't need to follow this Farman? When they will grow up, they will learn for themselves. It was just amazing conversation. How brave we are. How brave and openly we could say that I don't need to learn, and if they want to learn, they will learn for themselves. That shows that how brave we are. Directly and openly saying this without any fear, any shame, any, think back, nothing. How amazing is that? Hazrat Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah Alayhi, may our soul be sacrificed to the Imam, in his Farman made in Zanzibar, back in 1899, almost 125 years ago, criticizing the Jamaat for following the Shariat and the Zahir and ignoring the Batin, the Asal. Salawatullah alayhi says, you eat the shells of the almond, but you have never tasted the essence of the almond. You need to taste the essence. Then you would know about your religion. What you have been doing is Shariat and Zahir. You have never paid attention or consumed the batin of our tariqah. You have never paid attention to the meaning of our dua, meaning, understanding of our tariqah. And therefore, you have not tested the batin, the core of our tariqah. Mullah says, if you test the essence, then you would know about your religion and you will have firmer, mazboot belief, iman, and will attain happiness too. If you know the essence of your tariqah, your iman will be firm and you will also feel happy doing so, because you are no longer doing something like a monkey or parrot, mimicking others. You have gone into the core of it, you have went to the essence of it, and you have pulled out the batin out of the zahir. And that will give you much more understanding, ईमान की मजबूती और खुशी, क्योंकि आपने अपने तरीके को उसके मगज के साथ, असल के साथ समझा है, सीखा है और उसकी फिर प्रैक्टिस करते हैं. फिर जब आप जाहिर के अंदर दुआ पढ़ेंगे तो आपके अंदर जो समझ होगी उसकी, जब आप बोलेंगे बिस्मिल्लाह, आपका एक एक रवा जाग उठेगा. आप जब दुआ का आगाज करेंगे तो कांपने लगेंगे, आंखों में आंसू आ जाएंगे, दिल के अंदर इमाम की मोहब्बत जागेंगी. क्यों? कि आपने दुआ के एसेंस को, मानी को समझा है. अब आपको पता है कि आप क्या बोल रहे हैं, क्या सुन रहे हैं दुआ के वक्त में. खाली खाली नहीं बैठे होगे, कोरे कोरे नहीं बैठे होगे. You will know exactly what has been recited when you will listen to your dua, when you will say your dua. Your every single cell in your body will be awakened and you will understand the conversation between you and the Imam Zaman, and that will bring the softness of the heart, will bring the tears to your eyes, and you will feel the happy reciting the dua. As we understand that there is a zahir, the words and the practice, and there is a batin of those words and practices. An example, dua is the essence of ibadat. Dua we can recite as the shariat, zahir, physical, or we can recite the dua as the beginning, as the essence of the all ibadat following the dua. Dua is the zahir and shariat of our tariqah, and ibadat is the batin. So let's talk about this subject now. Out of 15 million Ismailis, and whichever Jamaat Khana you go to, let's take any Jamaat Khana. Let's say most of the people are living in USA or Canada. Let's pick a Jamaat Khana. The most beautiful Jamaat Khana, let's say Toronto Jamaat Khana. What is the Jamaat there? 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000? Chandrat, maybe even more. Now, let's look at the morning Jamaat Khana. How many people are present there? 100, 200, 300, 400? Maybe at the best 500? I doubt it. That shows that we have not understood our tariqah. Our tariqah is the tariqah of batin, and ibadat is the batin of our tariqah. If we are performing the zahiri shariat, but missing the batin of our tariqah, the ibadat, then what we are telling ourselves, that we are zahiri Ismailis, not batini tariqa as per Imam's farman. Because Imam is saying that we are the tariqa of the batin, but your action is telling us that we are the zahiri, not batini. That is what our action tells us. Do you all agree with me on this part? Because if we don't agree on the facts, how will we follow the facts? Because we don't agree on that. We believe the Zahiri and the Shariat is more important and completely ignoring the batin of our tariqah, which is ibadat. Let me give you another example. In the middle of the dua, we get up for the Giriya o Zari Tasbih. What do we do when we get up? We do a Zahiri and Shariati Tasbih without any Giriya o Zari. Look at the name of the Tasbih. Giriya o Zari Tasbih. But the Giriya o Zari is missing, as the Tasbih is the Zahir and the Giriya o Zari is the Batin. What are we missing? The batin. Dua is zahir and shariat of our tariqah, and ibadat is the batin. If someone follows the zahir and then ignore the batin of it, then what is the difference between a zahiri and batini? What is the difference? How can we call ourselves batini when we are not doing anything of batin? If you are doing, Mubarak to you. You are amongst the very few who are following the batin. If I was listening to myself, I would tell myself this: from now on, I will never ever miss ibadat, because ibadat is the batin of our tariqah, and as we are the tariqah of batin, I will never miss my ibadat from now on. That is what I would tell myself if I was listening to myself. Everyone has a free will. One can choose to do what they like to do. Another farman of 48th Imam in October 21st, 1903, again 120 years ago. What big difference is there between your religion and the other religion? What is the difference between Zahiri religion and the Batini religion? Look what Mola Bapa is saying. Think about it. Your religion is spiritual, and that of the others is physical. I'm going to stop here and ask a question. What are you doing other than Zahiri physical dua, Zahiri physical dason, Zahiri physical majlis, Zahiri physical tasbiyat? What is so batini about that? As other Muslims, Christians, Jews, and other religion also have their prayers, physical, dua. They have their teeth, the son. They also have some kind of gatherings, majalis. What is the difference in your tariqah, the tariqah of batin, and their tariqah, tariqah of zahir? What is the difference? If you are not doing anything other than what they are doing, think about it. Mullah Baba says, your religion is spiritual, batini. ગુજરાતીમાં આ ફરમાન તમે વાંચશો કે તમારો તરીકો બાતિનનો છે અને તે લોકોનો તરીકો જિસ્મનો છે. Those are the words, Imam's word. How great is the difference between the spiritual and the physical faith? Now the responsibility Mullah puts on, if Mukhi Kamriya will not explain that to the children. And remember, Imam have also put this responsibility on the parents, on the REC teachers, on ALWAAZ, on the scholars and the teachers. If they will not explain that to the children, and if the spiritual knowledge will not reach their souls in the childhood. Remember the example I was just giving you of this young parents? They said, no, we don't need to learn that. We will leave that to our children. When they grow up, and if they want to, they can learn. Against that argument, what is the Imam is saying? If the spiritual knowledge will not be reached their souls in the childhood, not when they grow up, then the physical religion, Jismani Deen, would set will get set into their minds. આ ફરમાન બહુ જ બ્યુટીફુલ છે. મોલા બાપા પૂછે છે કે તમે જોવો કે તમારા મજહબમાં અને બીજા મજહબમાં શું ફરક છે. વિચાર કરો. આપણો મજહબ બાતીની છે અને બીજાનો મજહબ જિસ્માની છે ને આમાં એક બહુ મોટો ફરક છે. બહુ મોટો ફરક છે જાહેરમાં ને બાતીનમાં. અગર તમે પોતાના બાળકોને પોતાના બાતીની મજહબનો ઇલ્મ નહીં આપશો તો એ લોકોના દિલના અંદર જાહેરી મજહબ બેસી જશે અને એનેથી તમારું ઘણું નુકસાન થશે. These farmans are not new. We all have read this farman many times over. This farman does not even requires interpretation, as those are written in simple Gujarati, Urdu, English, and maybe some other languages. Today we are putting a foundation on understanding our practices, our Amal with ilm. As we move forward in this series of lectures, we will take some individual practices and we will find the batin in those individual practices. Pir Nasir Khusro, in his Wajh Din, translated by Dr. Fakir Muhammad, writes, we say that pure knowledge is God's command. I wanted to emphasize on this one half line. Knowledge versus information, and knowledge versus true pure knowledge. Especially over the last 3 years, there has been flood of information. Amongst those information, there has been some great knowledge coming out. And amongst those great knowledge, you will find some pure, true, hakiki ilm. And that pure and hakiki ilm is like God's command, Imam's farman, Kalimae Bari Tala, the light or enlightenment from the God. Those who have been listening and have been digesting the pure knowledge, then it is the God's command. You are listening in the form of the pure knowledge, the nur and the enlightenment. And that nur in the form of the pure knowledge is coming into your ears and sitting into your heart. And if you are letting this great ilm, the ilm of the Imam, which is also the command of the Imam, if you let it sit in your heart, then your heart will guide you. It will tell you that I am not going to follow just the physical, but I will find the batin in our Shariat, in our physical practices, our rites and ritual, and I will eat the essence. I will benefit from the batin of it. And you will take that as Imam's farman. You will take that as God's command. That is the power in the pure knowledge. It works like a farman. Because just like farman supposed to guide you in the right direction, great ilm also helps you follow the right direction. And where does this great pure knowledge come from? From the Imam, from the command of the Imam, from the farman of the Imam. It comes from there. Those who have been endowed with a greater knowledge are closer to God's command. और जिन्होंने इस इल्म को हासिल किया और जिनके पास ये इल्म आ गया, ऐसा है जैसा उनके दिल में इमाम का हुक्म आ गया. Those who have been endowed with this great knowledge, consider yourself lucky as you are closer to the Amr of the Imam, to the Farman of the Imam, to the Nur of the Imam. If you have taken this pure ilm into your heart, those who have been endowed with the greater knowledge are closer to the God's command and have a greater acceptance of it and are more obedient. और जिसके अंदर खुदा का अमर होगा, इमाम का फरमान होगा, वो इमाम की पैरवी, इमाम की इताहत, इमाम का इश्क और इमाम की पहचान ज्यादा रखेंगे और वो पक्के और सच्चे ओबीडियंट मोमिनीन हो गए, फरमान बरदार मोमिन हो गए. How do you become फरमान बरदार मोमिन? Let the pure ilm sink into your heart and it will work as the command of Allah, the will of Allah. It will work like the nur of Allah and it will enlighten you from inside and you will become a great mu'min by default. तो जो सच्चे इल्म को अपने अंदर आने देगा वही इमाम के फरमान को अपने अंदर बैठने देगा और वो कलीमा अमर इमाम का आपके दिल के अंदर बैठ जाएगा जिसकी वजह से आप खुद ब खुद एक सच्चे और पक्के इमाम को पहचानने वाले, मजहब को समझने वाले मोमिन बन जाएंगे. Those who are wiser are more obedient to God. और आप में से जो अक्लमंद होंगे वो ज्यादा इमाम के फरमान बरदार होंगे. Those who are wiser, men of wisdom, men of logic, men of intellect will be more obedient to God. Those who become completely wise attain eternal blessing. And then amongst you who will become arifin, then they will obtain and attain eternal blessing. the complete rahmat of the Imam will be upon you, because you have the command of the Imam in you, because the work of the wise results in God's mercy. O brothers, strive to seek knowledge in order to draw nearer to God. So पीर साहब फरमाते हैं कि ये वो इल्म ही है, और इल्म के साथ किया हुआ ये वो काम है जो आपको खुदा की रहमत के करीब लाएगा। तो फिर एक अक्लमंद आदमी क्या करेगा? वो तो ज्यादा से ज्यादा हकीकी इल्म की तलाश में होगा, क्योंकि ये हकीकी इल्म उसको इमाम के करीब लाता है। So what would a wise man would do? He will seek more and more of the true knowledge, the pure knowledge, in order to come closer and closer and closer to the nur of the Imam. May he be exalted, for the mercy of the exalted God is knowledge. क्या फरमाया कि खुदा की रहमत देखनी है तो आपको इल्म के अंदर मिलेंगी। If you wanted to see the mercy of Allah, you will find it in the pure ilm. Pure ilm. Let's stop here. There's a lot to take and lot to chew. Inshallah, if you have any comments, any question, anything that needs to be repeated in Gujarati, in Urdu, just ask away. Ji.
Subhanallah, sir. Friends, share your questions in the chat, or you can use the raise my hand feature to ask question. Okay. So we don't have any question in the chat at this time. Friends, if you have any question, you can unmute your device.
Yeah, just ask any question you like, because there is a lot in this lesson today that need further discussion, kind of debate amongst us. And we don't worry about it. If there is question is not correct, if with your permission, I will help you fix the question, and then inshallah we'll answer the question. Ji Gulzar, go ahead.
यानी मदद सर।
Yani Madad.
सर ये वाली जो लाइन है ना, वी से दैट प्योर नॉलेज इज गॉड्स कमांड, तो गॉड्स कमांड हमेशा ये था कि था अने थाई छे, तो इसके साथ फिर हम ये जो लाइन है प्योर नॉलेज, इसकी तावील प्लीज समझाओ ना सर। थैंक यू सर।
जी, तो जब हमारे पास एक लिमिटेड वोकेबुलरी होती है, जबान होती है, हमने जिस तरह से आपने इस लाइन को अभी हमारे सामने पेश किया, तो आपने एक लाइन ले ली बहुत बड़े फरमान के अंदर से, जबकि इमाम का हर वर्ड, इमाम का हर फरमान, इमाम के हर लाइन एक खुदा का कलाम होता है, उसका अमर होता है, उसका फरमान होता है। तो हम एक वर्ड को नहीं ले सकते हैं, हमें पूरे पूरे फरमान को, और एक फरमान नहीं, तमाम फरामीन को एक साथ लेकर देखना होगा। तब हमें पता चलेगा कि जो हकीकी इल्म है उसके अंदर इमाम ने अपना अमर छुपा के रखा है। कहां पर छुपा के रखा है इमाम ने अपना अमर? हकीकी इल्म के अंदर। जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, हकीकी इल्म के बगैर हम फरमान को समझ ही नहीं सकते हैं। और इसका सबूत बार बार दिया गया। जब जब हमने किसी फरमान को उठाया और उसके ऊपर हकीकी इल्म से गौर और फिक्र किया, तो हमें पता चला कि जिस तरह से हम उस फरमान को पहले समझते थे वो ऐसा नहीं था। उस फरमान का तो मतलब ही और कुछ था। दोबारा से हमको पता चला कि इमाम का जो अमर है वो हकीकत में हकीकी इल्म के अंदर छुपा के रखा हुआ है, ताकि जो हकीकी इल्म के साथ हो वो इमाम के फरमान को भी समझ लेंगे, इमाम को भी समझ लेंगे, अपने तरीकों को भी समझ लेंगे, और वो अपने आप को इतना बुलंद करेंगे कि वो इमाम के इश्क में, इमाम के नूर के करीब आ जाएंगे। जी
थैंक यू सर, शुक्र अली अल्लाह, थैंक यू।
जी कामरे साहब।
Okay, so we have something in the chat, pretty long question, I think. So friends asking, when we talk about dua and its understanding, it becomes very necessary to understand the sequence of dua and its part. Therefore, why and what it the significance and importance of placing dua part. Let's say let's say why fourth part is not in second place and second on sixth. I do have some understanding, but this was want to know more.
For that, I would say number one answer would be, as Imam is the guide and a teacher, when Imam puts a dua together, as all of you know, this new dua that we have today, I call it new dua because we also remember old dua. Imam has put this dua together in such a format which shows that there are step after step after step of the prayers and the belief. The prayers and the belief. And the prayers and the belief are on stages. So first, if you look at it, that we say that Imam is the Rahman and Rahim. He is the Lord of the time of Qiyamah. And he is the Sirat al-Mustaqim on which we like to be guided. That's how our first dua starts. And then we talk about Atiullah. Then we talk about the Bayat. And then we talk about the concept of mono-reality in Kullu ALWAAZ. And then we talk about all of the Imams and Pashtan Pak. And then as we started with Alhamdulillah, we end with Alhamdulillah. If you look at the first word in the dua, Alhamdulillah, the last word in the dua, Alhamdulillah. So that was the first comment and understanding. Second, if you truly like to learn the meaning of the dua, I would suggest it will take you about a week. Listen to all of the lectures, and those are available in English and Urdu both, on the meaning and the understanding of the dua. Especially my favorite, listen to the understanding of the ba of Bismillah, and then Bismillah of the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and then of the Rahman and the Rahim, the one that we praise, in that order, step by step. It will take maybe 2-3 hours just to learn about Surah Al-Hamd. That's how much there is hidden in Surah Al-Hamd in the beginning of our dua. Then as you move forward, another part, which is my favorite part, is part dua number 2, where we talk about the place of the peace, the house of Salamati. House of Salamati. How to enter into the house of Salamati. Listen to that very carefully. I promise you, if you understand that, and when you are sitting in dua, it will bring you that happiness that Imam speaks of. Inshallah, that is a great start and great conversation. And this is what we need to follow the practices with the ilm and the understanding. And where can we start better than start with the dua? Ji.
Friends, just to let you know that I shared a link of dua meaning in the chat. Alright, so we don't have any questions. Friends, you can use the raise my hand feature to ask question, or you can unmute your device.
Okay, if there are no questions, that tells us everyone have understood very well and very good. If there are any comments, please go ahead and present your comments if there are no more questions. If not, we can stop here. Kamra sir?
Ji sir, I think there are no questions in the chat, so we can stop here.
Thank you very much for joining. Inshallah, we will see you all next week. Thank you. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad.